Forget everything you think you know about South Africa. This isn't just lions on a safari or a city at the tip of a continent. This is a place where humanity itself began, where battles for freedom shook the world, and where landscapes look like they were crafted by the gods. And the crazy part? Most of the world has no idea how much wonder is packed into this single country. Stick around, because you're about to discover the incredible places that make South Africa shine like nowhere else on Earth. South Africa is often called the Rainbow Nation, not just because of its diverse people, but because every color, every shade, every story seems to live here. It's a land where ancient rock art hides in mountain caves, where two oceans crash together at the continent's edge, and where cities pulse with music, culture, and life. But South Africa's shine isn't just about beauty. It's about history, resilience, and the kind of contrasts that make you stop and think. Today, we're not only going sightseeing, we're digging deeper into the soul of a country that has been at the center of human history for millions of years. Here's the problem. When outsiders think of South Africa, they usually picture three things: safaris, apartheid, and Cape Town's Table Mountain. And while all of those are important, they leave out so much of what makes this country incredible. South Africa is far more than postcards and stereotypes. The real challenge is breaking through the surface and uncovering the hidden gems. The caves where the first humans once stood. The mountains that hold secrets of lost tribes. The canyons that rival the Grand Canyon. And the communities that turned pain into power. This is the South Africa you don't see on brochures, but once you know it, you'll never forget it. Table Mountain, a flat-topped wonder with ancient roots. We start with the one you've seen on postcards, Table Mountain. But here's what most people don't know. It's not just a mountain, it's one of the oldest mountains in the world. At more than 600 million years old, its rocks have seen entire civilizations rise and fall. For the indigenous Khoisan people, this wasn't just a big rock. It was a sacred space, a place where they believed spirits lived. Even the blanket of cloud that sometimes covers the top, called the tablecloth, has a legend, said to be the smoke of a pipe-smoking contest between the devil and a local pirate. Climbing it, you don't just see Cape Town below. You see the collision of two oceans, the shimmer of Robben Island in the distance, and a city that has been shaped by centuries of history. It's no wonder locals say, if you haven't stood on top of Table Mountain, you haven't truly seen South Africa. Robben Island, a prison that became a beacon. Not far from Table Mountain, across the bay, sits Robben Island. For nearly 400 years, it was a place of exile and punishment. Political prisoners, outcasts, and even those suffering from leprosy were banished here. Most famously, Nelson Mandela spent 18 years locked in a tiny 2x2-meter cell. The world remembers the island as a symbol of cruelty, but also of resilience. Walking through those prison gates today, you can almost feel the weight of struggle, but also the strength of hope. Here's something many don't realize. Robben Island is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site where former prisoners serve as guides. They tell their own stories of suffering, survival, and victory. And that's powerful because it transforms a place of pain into a place of learning. The Cradle of Humankind, the world's oldest story. Drive north from Johannesburg and you hit the Cradle of Humankind. This isn't just another tourist stop. It's one of the most important archaeological sites in the world. Here, scientists uncovered Mrs. Plews and Littlefoot, fossils of early human ancestors dating back more than 2 million years. Think about that. Every single person alive today can trace their roots back to this land. The caves, dark, cool, filled with limestone, are time capsules. They hold proof of where we came from and who we once were. Standing in the Sterkfontein Caves feels like shaking hands with your ancestors. It's not just history, it's the origin of all human history. Kruger National Park, the raw heart of Africa. Of course, no talk of South Africa is complete without its wildlife. Kruger National Park is bigger than Israel, a place where nature still rules. Lions roar at dawn, elephants march across rivers, and rhinos graze in the savannah. But Kruger isn't just about animals. It's about survival. For centuries, indigenous people lived side by side with these beasts. Today, conservationists risk their lives to protect them from poachers. Every safari drive here feels like stepping into a battle between life and death, where nature decides the outcome. And beyond the big five, Kruger is also about the small wonders. Chameleons, shifting colors, hornbills with giant beaks, even the smell of wild sage crushed underfoot. It's a sensory overload that makes you realize you're standing inside one of Earth's last true wildernesses. The Drakensberg Mountains, a natural cathedral. Shift east, and the land rises into the Drakensberg Mountains. These aren't just peaks. They look like fortress walls built by giants. Waterfalls drop from dizzying heights, valleys stretch into infinity, and caves hide paintings thousands of years old. The Sand People, among the world's oldest cultures, painted here. They drew animals, hunters, dances, and spiritual visions. These images are more than art. They're records of how humans once saw the world. Hiking through the Drakensberg feels like walking inside an ancient temple carved by nature, decorated by humanity. Blyde River Canyon, the canyon nobody talks about. Most people have heard of the Grand Canyon, but few know about the Blyde River Canyon in South Africa. It's the third largest canyon in the world, covered in lush green forests rather than bare desert rock. Here, the three rondavelles rise like giant huts of stone, waterfalls thunder into pools, and cliffs drop into dizzying depths. Standing at God's window, a famous viewpoint, you see a landscape that looks endless. And yet, most tourists skip it. That's the beauty of South Africa. Its secrets are still secrets, waiting for those curious enough to find them. Cape Winelands. History in a glass. Drive into the Cape Winelands, and suddenly the land softens into rolling hills lined with vineyards. Here, 17th century Dutch and French settlers planted grapes, built Cape Dutch farmhouses, and started a wine culture that now rivals Europe's. But behind the beauty lies a deeper history of enslaved workers brought from Asia and Africa, of colonial clashes, and of centuries of blending cultures. When you sip a glass of Stellenbosch wine, you're not just tasting grapes, you're tasting centuries of history, flavored by the soil and shaped by struggle. Durban, the soul of the Indian Ocean. Durban feels like a different country altogether. The beaches stretch for miles, surfers ride waves under the sun, and the air is heavy with the smell of curry. South Africa has the largest Indian population outside of India, and Durban is where their culture shines brightest. The bunny chow, a hollowed-out loaf of bread filled with curry, was born here. The city is alive with Zulu traditions, Indian markets, and colonial remnants. Durban's port has always been a crossroads of trade and culture. That's why the city feels like a living mosaic, pieces from everywhere, all forming one vibrant whole. The Garden Route, a highway through paradise. The Garden Route is South Africa's ultimate road trip. Picture this: forests older than dinosaurs, cliffs plunging into the ocean, lagoons shining like mirrors, and tiny towns with big stories. In Tsitsikamma, you cross suspension bridges over roaring seas. In Knysna, you wander through mystical forests and taste oysters by the lagoon. In Hermanus, you stand on cliffs and watch whales leap out of the water. Every stop feels like a scene change in a movie, but the best part is, it's all real. Addo Elephant Park, Giants of the Land. If Kruger feels too big, head to Addo Elephant Park. Once home to just a handful of elephants, it now protects over 600. Watching them move as families, trunks touching, calves playing, it feels like watching a society as complex as ours. Addo also protects other creatures, lions, hyenas, and even a small group of rare black rhinos. But here's a secret. Addo is one of the few places where you can see the Big Seven, land giants like elephants and lions, and ocean giants like whales and great white sharks just off the coast. Cape Agulhas, the tip of Africa. Most people think the Cape of Good Hope is Africa's southernmost point, but the real spot is Cape Agulhas. Here, the Atlantic and Indian Oceans meet. Standing at the marker with waves crashing around you, you feel like you've reached the end of the earth. Fishermen still live here, battling rough seas for their catch. And the name Agulhas comes from the Portuguese, meaning needles, because sailors noticed their compasses pointed true north here. No variation. It's a place of both science and myth, and it's where Africa truly ends. The Karoo, silence with stories. Then there's the Karoo, a vast semi-desert that stretches forever. At first it looks empty, just dust, rocks, and silence. But look closer, and you find fossils of creatures from before the dinosaurs, small farming towns with quirky histories, and skies so clear you can see the Milky Way blazing above. The Karoo teaches patience. It's a place where you slow down, listen, and realize that even silence has stories. So, what makes South Africa shine? It's not just the wildlife, the mountains, or the oceans. It's the way all of it, nature, history, struggle, and triumph, comes together in one place. South Africa is a country of contrasts, but those contrasts create brilliance. It's a land where the first humans walked, where battles for freedom changed the world, and where every sunrise feels like a second chance. South Africa doesn't just shine, it burns with life. From the peaks of Table Mountain to the silence of the Karoo, from the prisons of Robben Island to the streets of Soweto, from lions in Kruger to whales on the Garden Route, South Africa is a storybook written in landscapes, people, and history. It's not perfect. It's messy, painful, and complicated. But maybe that's why it shines so brightly, because out of struggle comes beauty, and out of history comes strength. Subscribe to uncover more stories the world tries to hide.